If you want to join the PC master race, or you have just lying around an old computer at your parents' house, or you're really low on the budget for your new computer, this video is absolutely for you because we're gonna build the $100 gaming PC. Here we go and welcome to the idea of technology. My name is Michael and today it's all about building the ultimate $100 gaming PC. But before I'm gonna start this video, a little disclaimer. As you already saw in the title, the complete idea is to split this video into 3 parts because I'm always just working with project management. I will split this mini-series into plan, build and run. So after the 3rd video you will just have everything together, but now this video is completely just for planning the $100 gaming PC. So let's get started with the first video, planning the $100 gaming PC. So first we need to have some sort of baseline. We need to find the status quo of this whole build. So when I was looking for one of my next projects with the Sinclair ZX 81, I was looking for a television on eBay, and the guy I bought this television from for just $5 also gave me a computer, and that's probably the whole origin, this whole point of this video series, because I got this case and I got the motherboard and a few parts in it, and I just want to build on this baseline the complete $100 gaming PC. So what I'm talking about is this guy over here. So this is gonna be our $100 gaming PC. Somehow. I don't know, let's just see inside and what we are dealing with. So let's just talk about the specs of this PC. This is an 11 years old PC, probably most likely an office PC, and with a few parts I just want to discuss really quick because we need to build of them and we need to do a little bit of research to find the exactly parts we are missing at the moment and to get it a total of $100 roundabout. At the moment this PC costs us $0, let's face it that way, so we have just $100 to spend on parts to make this PC suitable for some games. So let's just start with the less interesting parts of this PC. We have a power button, we have 2 USB 2 ports, and we have also from LG a DVD reader and writer, so that's just pretty fine. Let's face it as a bonus, but it's not that important. Okay. The more interesting parts are in here. We are dealing with a motherboard from Asus. It's where is it? It's an Asus motherboard. It's a P5 VD2 MX. So this is a pretty basic and really cheap, most likely office motherboard with just it costs around what, $50 or $60 when it was new. So really cheap, but the good side on it is we have some capability of overclocking the CPU, which is just pretty nice when we think about the processor. And let's come to this at that second, because in this machine is just an Intel Pentium 4 processor. The number is 531, so this is a 3 GHz single core processor. It's around about 14 years old when it was new, and we probably can think about this is going to be our bottleneck in the future. But at the moment we just stick with the standard CPU which is already in there, and we just go for the standard Intel heatsink, which is also just there. We probably need to get rid of some dust on there, but that's probably totally fine. What we also dealing with, the hard drive is missing, so we have just, this is the end of this HDD cable, and there's no hard drive connected, so we probably need a hard drive, or even better an SSD for better speeds, but with an SSD we need a SATA cable. Luckily this motherboard has 2 SATA connectors right over here at the bottom, so we just can totally run an SSD and also an HDD if we have the time and the money for our complete Steam library. We have two PCI ports. One of them is just already blocked with a Firewire 400 PCI card right here. I don't know who was using Firewire 400, but I'll just leave it that way. It's probably working, but it's okay that way. The most important part is we have a PCI Express 16 slot and a PCI Express 1 slot, but we can just use one of them. So we'll just probably go for the PCI Express 16 slot because we just need to have a graphics card. This is also missing at the moment because this PC was probably just for office work. And when we're talking about the graphics card, we always need to talk about the power supply because the PSU needs a little bit more watts. This is just running about 350 watts and it's also lacking a PCI Express 6-pin connector for a graphics card, or even 8-pin or whatever. So we'll just probably swap out the PSU, also for the reason on the back this power switch isn't working anymore. So I have no chance to, it's on, it's okay, but I have no chance to turn it off or whatever, and the power supply isn't working anymore. So this was a little bit upset when I when I got this PC, because I had the hope that I can work with the integrated power supply, but we will also need to look for a new power supply that is capable to run this complete system also with the graphics card. What we also need to deal with is the point we have just two RAM slots here on the right, and they're both stacked with each 2 GB of RAM. DDR2, sadly, really low megahertz count, and we can't upgrade that. So we will just stick with the RAM, which saves a few bucks at the end when it's come to buying new parts. But we just stick with the 4 gigabytes of this complete system. So this is now the complete status quo we are dealing with. I will now just put all the specs here on the right so you just can look it up again. And this is probably all the things we need to focus on in the future when building this $100 gaming PC. And now we need to do some research and find the right parts for the right price to get this thing done and up and running. So let's just switch to the parts. So now we are done with the status quo. It's also important to have a really good planning in this video, because we just want to buy every part once, not twice, because we are on a really low budget. And I was looking on eBay and Amazon to get everything together and the right parts. So some of them are used, some of them are new, and probably we just need to figure out which is just suiting best for the system. So let's just get started with the parts I picked for this $100 PC build. The first part I want to start with is the power supply. As I already told you, the power supply isn't working anymore, and we also have no SATA power connector, and we have no 6-pin PCI Express power connector for the graphics card. Therefore I was going on eBay for around about 24 bucks, something like this, for a no-name G-Power 3G power supply, and with more than enough juice, with 650 watts, and with every cable we just can think of, in every beautiful color we also can think of. Enough SATA power, enough power for the motherboard, and also a 6-pin connector for the graphics card. Talking about the graphics card, I was looking for the best power and the highest efficiency, so not too noisy and not too power consuming. On the other side, just with enough juice to run 1080p games at 60 Hz or 60 FPS, something like this. And therefore I am just going for the Gigabyte 660, perfectly good card with enough space for the heatsink, really good airflow. It's going really low on the temperatures, not too loud when the fans are turning up, and it's just going really well with this build. So we're going for the Gigabyte GTX 660. And when it comes to pricing, the graphics card is around about 40 euros. So it was probably the most expensive part of it, but it's also the most important part for a $100 gaming PC. So we are looking at around about 40 bucks. To step this more up, as you already can see here, I also got some thermal compound lying around, because we are stick with the Pentium 4 processor at 3 GHz and also with the Intel stock heatsink. We will just try to clean the complete heatsink and place some new thermal compound after 11 years. This is probably a good idea to have probably better thermal results. The other part, and that wasn't even available 11 years ago, is a completely new storage solution. So we just going for the cheapest and the best SSD you can probably buy at the moment on Amazon. I got the A400 from Kingston. Kingston is also the brand from the RAM there in the PC, so this is just working pretty fine together. The RAM from Kingston and the SSD 120 gigabytes from Kingston SATA 3, and it should be working pretty fine. So if you're looking for a really cheap inexpensive SSD for your boot drive, just go for this one. It's just really worth it. And when we were talking about really good value, I got this Western Digital 1 terabyte hard drive lying around, and as we have 2 SATA connectors in this PC, I will just also place this in there for our Steam library and more storage, because the 120 gigabytes of the SSD will be pretty full really fast. Some frames, screws and some cables for the hard drive and also for the SSD. And I also was going, because the older PCs doesn't have this really efficient airflow layout, I will also place a Be Quiet Pure Wings 2 fan at the end, so we have a better airflow through the complete case, so we can get rid of the heat from the CPU and from the GPU and just push it out at the end of the case. And hopefully this will also make the thermals a little bit better, and we can go higher with the clocks of the CPU and maybe also of the GPU. So that's about the complete planning part. The next video will be about building all these things together and just find out if it's just working. But I just want to say to you, always think about really good planning. Just buy everything once. Make a little bit of research, especially for the older parts, that all the drivers and all the connectivity is just all there, and the compatibility between the motherboard and all the other parts you already just bought for your build. And then you're probably really good on the way to your $100 gaming PC. And if you dislike this video, you know what to do. But if you liked it, just hit like down there, get subscribed, and enable the notifications with the bell icon, so you just can also look the second and the third video of this mini series here on the idea of technology. And I just want to say thank you very much. Goodbye.